When I was 10 years old, I went into the library and I picked up a copy of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. This book series captivated readers like me across the world, and the first book actually sold upward of 20 million copies, according to The New Yorker. Raise your hand if you've at least heard of this series. Alright, perfect. After I read this series, I went more in depth into looking into different kinds of Greek myths and the way in which they were told in different versions. During this speech, I hope to inform you of the way in which Medusa specifically is viewed and whether she's viewed as a villain or a victim in different retellings. First, in ancient myths, she was seen as only a villain. Ovid actually gave the most description of her tale in the Metamorphosis. In Book 4, lines 753 to lines 803, Perseus recounts how he conquered Medusa. Perseus conquered Medusa by going into her cave, slicing off her head, and bringing it home as a way to win the maiden's heart. Then he goes more in depth into Medusa's backstory, and he says that Poseidon actually violated Medusa in Athena's temple, and because of this, Athena was enraged, and she cursed Medusa by turning her into a Gorgon. Now, Stephen Wilk, in Solving the Mystery of the Gorgon, states that the Gorgons actually have the features of a dead woman, with their bloated face, their wide open eyes, and their tongue out. They were shunned from society, and this is probably why Medusa lived in a cave away from everybody. But as the story has been retold, we can see that she's not only seen as a villain, but also as a victim. As previously stated, she was a character in the popular Percy Jackson series. In chapter 11 of the first book, Percy came into contact with Medusa and went into her garden and sliced off her head after she attacked him. Percy, who is named after the original Perseus from the story, sliced off her head and conquered Medusa. At the end of this book series, though, Medusa's head is used as a way to protect Percy's mother from her abuser and is left in a fridge. And because of this, the abuser is petrified and can no longer hurt Sally. I know this may seem like a ridiculous comparison between a book series and the way in which society views women, but National Women's Hall of Fame member Dr. Susan Bowers says that Medusa's mythical image has served as a magnifying mirror for the way that society views women. In the original myth, Medusa was seen only as a villain, but in modern retellings, you can see that she's also seen as a victim and a way to protect women. In the present day, Medusa has become a symbol for women everywhere. In the documentary from the History Channel, Medusa, infamous fiend of the Greek myth, you can see that Medusa was probably raped, and this is why the true tragedy of the story. And Rebecca Kennedy actually states that the true tragedy of the story is that she did not choose to participate in this action, and that she did not choose to participate in this action and was cursed anyway. This perspective has helped women everywhere with the popularity of the Me Too movement, and she's actually seen depicted on many women as a symbol for progressing from their tragic event and a way in which their curse can help protect them from bad encounters with men in the future. To conclude my speech, I would like to show you where we have come from and where we can go with this information. First, in ancient times, she was seen as only a villain who cannot hurt anybody. Who can hurt other people. And then, in modern retellings, she is seen as a victim and someone who is abused by men in power. When I think of Medusa's story, I often think of a quote by Chris Colfer, in which states, "A villain is simply a victim whose story has never been told." Whether or not Medusa is a villain or a victim is not what I'm trying to convince you of today. All I am trying to say is that her story deserves a more in-depth look into the way in which we view characters and whether or not they are a villain or a victim.